All right, good evening, everyone. It is Monday, March 20th, 2023. It's the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I am your host, as always, Adam Martin, and it is great to be joined by my co-host here, Mr. Big Marcel, to recap UFC 286. Marcel, looking forward to talking about the card with you, man. Lots to talk about. Marcel, how's it going, man? How was your weekend overall?
It started well. The UFC card was good. Sunday sucked,
What happened?
and my team lost, but we're not going to talk about that.
Ajax or whatever?
Very important game against the long time rivals. We were 3 points behind them in the competition. Now we're 6 points behind, and pretty much we're not going to be champion this year. So pretty bad loss, but yeah, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
But that was a sucky day yesterday.
Well, let's not talk about that, Marcel. Let's talk about the card instead. How about that? All right. So I say we get into it, guys. Just there's a lot to talk about, obviously, from this card. Let's get some comments first, and then we'll get into it. We got our boys Glenn here, Joe, Hype is here. What's going on? Marcel at the cut. I feel like Marcel. Dude, same here, man. What about me? Me and Marcel both self haircuts. We got our boy James King here in the chat. James says, "Glad to catch you boys live. Lots to talk about for sure. Glad to have you here, my friend. We got a lot to talk about, Marcel. A lot to talk about." We've got George here. We got a lot of people here. I mean, there's a lot to talk about, right? This was a big card. There's a lot of storylines to unpack here. Marcel, let's start with the main event. Leon Edwards defeats Kamaru Usman, majority decision, 48-46, 48-46, 47-47. Now, we'll talk about this fight in a second. I just want to, what was your scorecard? Because it was obviously a very close fight. How did you score it?
I had a draw, man.
What rounds did you give Usman?
I think I gave him 2 and 3. I'm not sure.
Bro, I had the same scorecard.
Yeah.
So I had the same scorecard as you. I was looking at the MMA decisions. So one of the David Leatherby, I believe the judge's name, he had the same scorecard as us. There was another judge or the other 2 judges, I guess, gave all the other rounds except for 3 to Edwards. I'm not saying it's a bad scorecard because I think the round 2 and 4 were close, right? Like I think they were both close rounds. That's why I saw some people scoring for Usman. Like, do I think it's a good scorecard? No, but I don't think it's the worst one ever because I do think 2 and 4 were close. 3 is obviously Usman. 1 and 5 are obviously Edwards. So it comes down to 2 and 4. And to me, I gave 2 to Usman and I gave 4 to Edwards. Because it was in England, Marcel, I'm not surprised at all that he got the decision. I think we should have maybe handicapped that a little bit more into our analysis last week, just the home cooking. But you never know. Like, sometimes they go to these places and they don't score for the hometown guy. Go ahead.
True, but this wasn't really home cooking. So it's like...
Yeah.
I'm like, listen, if Usman clearly won 4 rounds and he got it, then it was home cooking, but that was not the case.
There was another fight in this card that I think was home cooking. We'll talk about that in the prelims.
Yeah.
But this one, you're right. I mean, it was just a close fight. It was a close fight. It's crazy. You know what's crazy, though, guys? Like, Usman was 1 minute away from tying Anderson Silva's record of 16 straight wins, cementing himself probably as the greatest welterweight of all time, potentially. I mean, I still think it's GSP. I still think it's GSP, Marcel. I'm just saying, like, Usman, had he won that fight, and then this fight is very close, too. It's just crazy. Like, it's crazy how that head kick changed his career.
Because Edwards was... If Edwards doesn't get that head kick and he loses...
He doesn't get a rematch.
No. So, that's crazy.
So, let's talk about the fight. It was a good fight. I think it was a really good fight, personally. Very competitive, right? All the rounds were competitive. Edwards showed, obviously good striking again. Striking looked even better than ever. And then obviously the takedown defense was really good in this fight. Usman, he did land 4 takedowns, Marcel, but didn't do a lot with them. Only had 5 minutes of control time. You look at the last fight. The last fight, Usman had 10 minutes of control time. So it was a lot more of control. In the last fight, he had 5 takedowns. This time around, Edwards, I think, did a better job defending the shots. And on the feet, obviously, he outlanded Usman. The last fight, Usman outlanded Edwards. This was a big evolution, I think, for Leon Edwards, right? Like, but I also feel like Marcel, I don't want to take anything from Edwards because I think he looked really good, but Usman didn't look the same to me in this fight. I think that knockout really just changed his career. And also, Marcel, we talked about the age. He's turning 36 in May. He's getting up there in age. And I saw someone sent me the stat today. I think was it you, Marcus? I think it was you. Champions or title challengers are over 35 or like 2 and 28 in the UFC. Like, they just don't win fights. It doesn't happen. So if anyone was going to do it, it was going to be someone like Usman. This fight was very close. It could have been a draw. He wouldn't have won the belt, but, wouldn't have been a loss. But I just thought he looked older, Marcel, than he did in the last. Like, obviously, he's older. I mean, he's 8 months older, but he just looked physically older. I know he's got all his knee injuries. I think there was a reason Colby – we'll talk about Colby in a second, too, by the way. there was a reason he got called in on such short notice, Marcel, because I think he was injured. He must have told the UFC, "Hey, I got an injury here," and he made it to the fight. And he went through the fight, but I feel like there was some sort of injury here. Again, I don't want to take anything to Edwards because he looked good and he's the best welterweight in the world right now. There's no doubt about it, right? But I just feel like Usman just didn't look the same, Marcel, at the last fight. That's all I'm going to say. Anyways, I want to get your thoughts on the fight, and then we'll talk about some other stuff.
Yeah, you said it was a great fight.
I thought it was a good fight. I did. I honestly did.
Yeah, I didn't pop a boner for it, to be really honest, man.
I didn't pop a boner, but I thought it was a good fight.
I think it was okay, man. You know, it was how do you say that? I think it was a much closer fight than people give it credit for, you know, and that's why it was enjoyable to watch. But I don't think it was an amazing fight, to be really honest, man. It was like, I felt like everybody's like Leon's super sharp and this and that. I thought it was really static. I think he looked good, but he was really static what he did. And with Usman was really afraid of that high kick. I had the feeling he was constantly doing this, you know. And I understand it, of course. You know, he'd never been knocked out in his career. You know, the only time he was submitted by Alex Cacero's brother, I think, outside the UFC. So it's like it's different to come back for him. And I didn't bank on it actually. I thought he could do better, you know. But he was really hesitant, you know. I think it really fucked him up. He got knocked out there with a head kick, and he was much more hesitant than normal. His takedowns didn't work as much as normal, you know. Leon had really pretty good takedown defense, and I think. But like I said, it was a closer fight than many people give it credit for. I think Edwards won. I gave him 3 rounds of the 5. And then he got that point deducted, which was good, you know.
We'll talk about that too.
But Herb Dean should have gave Usman his position back. But besides that, that was a good call, giving a point deduction. Yeah, good win for Edwards, you know. But still, I have my question marks, you know. Not about Edwards being good or whatever, but him gonna be a dominant champ or whatever in the division. You know what I mean? I have my question marks about that. But yeah, overall good win for him. A deserved win. Win the trilogy. And to be really honest, it doesn't feel to me like a trilogy because that first fight has been like for years ago on the prelims, you know. So it's not like a trilogy like we have 3 title fights, you know. It's like 1 prelim years ago and 2 title fights. So it doesn't feel like a trilogy, but he won the trilogy.
Right.
He won the two most important fights of the 3, right? So good for Edwards. Happy for the dude in his home country. Finally getting the support from the people in England, which he never got before. So yeah, good for him.
So I misspoke on the scorecard. So Chris Lee, who I don't think is that good of a judge, but he actually had 2 and 4 for Edwards, 48-46. Again, I don't think it's terrible because those rounds are swing rounds. David Leatherby had the same scorecard as us, Marcel, giving round 2 to Usman, round 4 to Edwards. That Carlos scorecard is fucking bullshit. Like, how do you give the 3rd round to Edwards? That is ridiculous. How did he win that 3rd round, Marcel? Tell me.
I don't know, man. But there was one judge there was one horrible judge that night.
Paul Sutherland or something?
Yeah, he's a former fighter and he's on the board in England or whatever for MMA or something.
He needs to go back to training. He's
crazy.
Wow. I mean, it wasn't good. But yeah, like for me, Marcel, that's a bad scorecard, in my opinion. Like 3rd round, that's that's Usman's round, guys. Like and the fact that he got the point deducted and like lost that position, like I almost feel like they need to keep that in mind too when they're scoring that round. Like he would have got the takedown, would have been even more dominant there. I don't know, Marcel. Like, how do you score the 3rd round for him?
I don't know, man.
I think you could score the 2nd and 4th round for Edwards, no problem.
Yeah,
like, I don't find a problem with that. But the 3rd round to me was the most obvious Usman round in the fight, and that is a bullshit scorecard. I don't like that scorecard at all, and I don't know, man. I'm just not a fan of the scorecard. Let's get some comments here, guys. Go ahead.
You know, I'm always like. I even get annoyed by scorecards when I think it's scored wrong, you know. Even when you got the right fighter to win, I get annoyed when it's scored wrong because you know what I mean?
I do, and that was the co-main event too. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, let's get some comments here, Marcel. There's a lot of people chiming in here.
Go ahead.
I gave Marcus, what's up? I gave Leon 1, 4, and 5. We've been 2 and 3. We had the same. We had the same scorecard. We had the same as you, Marcus. So draw. Ben used to be a great judge of questionable decisions. I mean, I just think giving round 3 to Usman or to Edwards is just weird. That's Usman's round. What's up, Patrick? How's it going, man? Says I'm doing the research right now. Leon's accuracy of fight might have been the highest in the time ever. Let me take a look.
By
He
the
landed
way,
74% of his strikes. That is pretty fucking high, actually. That's really high.
Shout out to Patrick. He did a fun interview with Mike Heck on his channel.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a lot of but I was gonna say, like, getting back to his point, like, that's a really high striking rate, accuracy rate. So that's good. Leon 105. Come on, there's no way he 105. Go on. Gotta try Usman. Yeah. Leon grabbed the fence, multiple legal kicks to the groin, legal grab. Usman. Yeah, that's another thing. No one's talking about the glove grab. That's a foul too, Marcel. I looked at the rule book, by the way. Like, people like don't know that's like, it says no grabbing of the shorts or gloves. So that could have been. I mean, would I have taken a point? Probably not. Like, because again, it's a title fight. But that takedown was so blatant, Marcel. They had to take a point. People were like, "Why are you taking a point?" Like, shut the hell up. That's obviously a point. That's like the most obvious takedown, like, defensive. Oh man.
What was Herb Dean saying? He's like, I give you a strong warning here, but I got to take a point. What are you saying, dude?
I don't know. They don't listen. They don't. I actually saw Herb got interviewed by Helen Yee a few months ago. She does good interviews, and she asked him about, like, point deductions, like when you take a point. It was actually interesting, guys. He basically said, like, the refs don't want to, like, impact the fight, because we all know in a 3-round, even a 5-round fight, like, 1 point in MMA is a lot, right? Like, it changes the whole fight. But if it's justified like that, you have to take a point. So, anyways, I thought it was interesting. What's up, Gorilla? How's it going, man? Thanks again for the artwork, my friend. I think it should have been a draw. I agree. Another confusing performance from Herb. Yeah.
I have a feeling Juani is not a real big fan of Kamaru.
Yeah, he says the third round was close. I mean, it was competitive, but I still think it's like, to me, that's the most obvious Usman round. Like, Ben Carlos is on an island there, Marcel. Like, he's on an island, not scoring that round for him. I actually want to see what
they were all on. They were all on an island. They were on England.
I want to look. I'm looking at MMA decisions right now. So again, majority of it's either a draw or Edwards, right? Like, there's only a few people that had Usman. Again, I think that's right. Like, I had a draw, but I also feel like you could have scored Edwards because you could have given 2-4. I'm looking at the fan scorecards right now. The fan scorecards, again, majority had Edwards, and then so 1,000 scorecards. This is actually a big sample size. It's not like it's 10 scorecards; it's 1,000. So popular fight to score, obviously. 42% gave it to Edwards, 48-46, and then 28% gave it to a draw. Right. So I think both those cards are fine. Go ahead.
Did you post your scorecard on Twitter?
I can't remember, but
I didn't.
I think I called it a draw. But the thing is, like, people are just angry that MMA Twitter's really angry these days. A lot of angry people in there that just love complaining. Anyways, I'm looking at the individual rounds. So looking again at the fan scorecards. These are fans, or they're educated fans, because a casual fan's not going to go on NBA decisions. Okay, these are educated fans that care about the scores. 99% gave round 1 to Edwards, 90% round 5. I mean, those are the two most obvious rounds, right? 50% went Usman in round 2, 47 to Edwards. Again, kind of a coin flip round. I gave it to Usman, but it was close. Third round, 58% to Usman, and draw was 35%. So again, but almost 60% of people are giving it to Usman. Like, and then fourth round was 75% Edwards, Usman 23. We had, like, basically the same scorecards as the fans were. So, like, if you look at it, like, round by round. So I don't know, guys. I mean, like, at the end of the day, he wouldn't have won the fight. It doesn't really matter, but I just think I like for them to get the cards right. You know, where'd he go? Where'd you go?
Finger on refresh, and I don't know why, but I clicked it.
No worries. We got our boy Antoine here. He says, "What's up, guys? Watching on the rooftop. Oh, that's awesome, man. Don't fall off the roof." All right, Marcel. Let's. I mean, is there anything else? Oh yeah. Sorry. What am I talking about? Obviously, Colby. Colby's next. So he was there at the event. He cut weight. He was the backup. And there's a lot. We gotta get into this now. So there's a lot of people that are upset that Colby's getting a title shot. I'm not. I mean, because the thing is, like, I think he gives Edwards a very competitive fight. First off, I think he's the toughest fight right now out there, besides maybe Shavkat, but we don't really know. But he's fighting Bilal. We'll talk about that in a second too. I just think it's a really good fight. And if you look at the betting odds for that fight, right now Colby's actually favored to win the fight, guys. He's actually favored at the betting odds. So it's a very competitive fight. I think it's a good fight. Now, the thing is, a lot of people are saying Bilal deserves a title shot. He might. I mean, he has a nice win streak going. There's no doubt about it. He's looked really impressive lately. Like, he's surprised me. He's looked good. But it is a business, and there's no doubt that Colby Covington does more pay-per-view buys than Bilal Muhammad. There's no doubt. Okay? It's just a fact, Marcel. And here's the thing, like, there's arguments to made for Bilal, right? The win streak. Also, he's beaten Brady and Luque. Those are really good wins, right? So I get it. I don't think I'm not arguing that he shouldn't get it because I think that there's a lot of merit to saying Bilal deserves it. But the argument I don't buy is the one that Leon's making himself, saying Colby hasn't fought in a year. He doesn't deserve a shot. Dude, he did the same fucking thing, guys, after he fought Nate Diaz. He didn't fight for 14 months until he fought Usman. And I get it, he had some canceled fights. I understand that. He still didn't fight, though. He did not fight. I also feel like, people don't like Colby. So they're like upset that he's getting a title shot. And they're like, oh, he beat Masvidal. Like, that's not a good win. It is a good win, actually. Masvidal's a good win. How do you think these other guys all got their title shots? Because they beat Masvidal. I'm fired up, Marcel, because I just feel like people they're not able to separate their like mind from their heart. That's the problem I have here. I get it. So we're all passionate about the sport, right? I'm not like a massive Colby fan. I think he's a funny guy. I don't think he's the most exciting fighter to watch, but I also do know that he's the UFC's cash cow probably in this division, and I understand why they're doing the fight. I get it. I just think the argument that because he sat out a year since fighting Masvidal, that's a bad argument, guys. I don't like the argument. And we all know he had legal issues too. We had tons of legal issues with Masvidal. Like, was he supposed to jump in the cage the next month? Like, I think recently those legal issues have settled. That's why we see Masvidal and now Colby's gonna get booked too. There's a rumor, or not rumor, but like a theory out there that maybe the UFC was like, hey, if you'll get the title shot if you drop this lawsuit. I have no idea what's going on with that lawsuit. It seems like no one's really talking about that anymore. And Colby, actually, our boy James Lynch interviewed him, Marcel. He just had no comment about that. So I don't know if it's a legal limbo thing or there's nothing there anymore. I'm not sure, but that happened last year, and like when you're in a legal issue, it's like hard to like it would have been hard for him to fight. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. Like he's getting the title shot, guys. Like all these people like going on Bilal Muhammad's like bandwagon now. Like, what's the point? He's not getting the shot. Dana White's already said Colby's getting the shot. Doesn't matter what Masvidal does against Burns. It doesn't matter what Burns does. Doesn't matter what Bilal does against Shavkat or whatever. He's getting the shot. And by the way, I really like the Shavkat Bilal fight. That's a good fight. That's a great fight. And quite frankly, Marcel, I think Shavkat wins that fight. I think he wins that fight. So Bilal's in trouble, man. I think here. I get why he's being loud, but it's too late. It's too late. The title shot's already been given to Colby. Also, Marcel, I mean, listen, again, people don't like the guy, but he stepped up on like 1 day's notice to fly to England to cut 18 pounds or something like that, right? So that there's merit to that too, Marcel. Anyway, I don't know. What do you think, man? Like, I'm just fired up because like I think people hate the guy and they use these bullshit arguments against him, like saying, "Oh, he hasn't fought in a year." Fucking Edwards didn't either, and he got a title shot. By the way, Marcel, yeah, I'm really getting into it. People didn't even fucking like Leon Edwards a year ago. They didn't like the guy after he fought Nate Diaz. They said he sucked. They said Leon sucks. He got slapped in the face by Nate. He lost the 5th round. He got rocked. Now 2 years later, everyone fucking loves the guy. I get it. He's a good fighter, but you can't change your tune like that. You can't go and revise history. There we go, Marcel. That's my rant.
I missed the last 5 minutes. Can you read? No, just kidding. Yeah, about this thing. The funny thing was like I was watching the weigh-ins live, right? And then it's like now up to the scale, former interim champion Colby Covington. And everybody was like, "What the fuck?" And he weighed in and he made weight. And
yep,
he is. Listen, man, you can say whatever you want about him. Dude is very smart. He took this opportunity, but probably knowing not going to fight there, but he made the weight, and he showed today that he could make the weight, and that's the main thing, because he did that and he took that chance. He now gets rewarded for it, That's pretty much what it is. And
by the way, I saw he got paid $25,000 to make weight. That's not bad. I mean,
no, of course not.
I mean, that's not bad at all.
And then like Bilal was kind of like mocking him for, "Oh, you can weigh in there, but you can't fight there."
They didn't ask you, Bilal.
But at the end of the day, it was a smart move, probably. What can I say about it? Do I think Colby deserves to fight next for title? No, I don't think so. Do I want to see it? Yeah, I want to see it. Because I think Colby can make Leon the best fight at that weight class at this moment. I think, for example, Kamzat probably goes to 185. Burns fighting Masvidal. I like the fight. I think, and I said this. I shouldn't actually say it. I should have said it in Dutch, but it's gonna cost me some people who get upset about it. But I was talking with my co-host from Eurosport, Dennis, about it. I was like, let's be honest, man. I don't dislike Bilal, but if it comes to selling the fight, and who's interested about in that fight, probably Bilal's family members and his 5 fans. So it's like it just doesn't do it for the UFC. And they saw it first time. Edwards did actually very well in that fight until he poked him in the eye and it was over.
Yep.
I don't think the UFC wants to see a second fight. And that's the thing. Like, I was sure that they didn't want to see the second fight when I hear Dana said they want to match him against Rachmanov. Bilal against Rachmanov is probably the worst fight of the division. Yeah. So that's already telling me that the UFC doesn't want to see Bilal fighting for a title. They bank on Rachmanov to beat him probably. So do I think Colby deserves it based on what he has done as of lately? No. On the other side, he made the weight. He came to London and he was a true professional. Did what he had to do. And in Dana's eyes, that made him the number one contender. So, I mean, I have no problem with it. And then Leon Edwards is like, oh, I'm a champion now. I should have a say in who I fight next. No, dude, you shouldn't. You're a champion. You should just fight the next contender, in my opinion. I hate it when champions do that. Like, I can say whoever won. No, dude, it's not how it work or how it should work, in my opinion. But I understand it from his side that he doesn't like it because Colby always denied him. But on the other side, he said like Masvidal is interesting if he beat Burns. I mean, Masvidal is like the least interesting fight to me against Leon because I'm pretty sure Leon beats him. You know what I mean? I want to see a competitive fight, which against a guy who I think can beat Leon, not will beat Leon, but is able to beat Leon. And I want to see just the best fighters fighting the best. And maybe I'm wrong. I like the Colby fight against Leon, but
dude, he's favored to win the fight right now. I mean, like, it's a close fight. I mean, it's a very good
definitely. Fight. I mean, listen, man, if it comes to deserving, I'm not really sure if he deserves it, but if it comes to if I want to see it and does it sell, I think it does. So yeah. So I'm basically on your side, but I'm not as passionate as you about it.
No worries. Like again, like I'm not the biggest Colby fan by any means. I just think the argument that because he sat out is a dumb argument because we did the same thing. All right, let me get some comments here, guys. There's actually a lot of comments. Oh my. Okay. We were struggling to see your tweets go up through their broadcast. I tell everyone that's my boy Adam. I mean, it's cool. Like they don't do it that much. So, but Marcel, they put him up all the time.
Yeah, I always jerk off to it. It's, like,
it's cool. Like I'm not gonna lie, it's obviously cool, but like it doesn't pay my bills. Unfortunately, I wish it did. Yeah. I wish you got like a bonus every time they put it on the screen.
Yeah.
Right here, you say Colby's gonna beat Leon. You're gonna make me cry. I mean, I don't really know who I'm gonna pick for that fight. I guess I'd be Leon after the fight with Usman and the takedown defense. I guess I'd be Edwards a little bit, but like it is a very interesting fight. George says Colby coming off back-to-back 400+ day layoffs. Yeah, that is true. That is true, but it seems to be working out for him, right? I think Edwards dropped the ball tonight, not inviting Colby to the cage for a face-off. Yeah, that would have been nice to. He was there, right?
I think that would have been a good idea.
Also, I think someone was holding him back. I think security was like, "Don't go in there." I think I could be wrong, but
did you saw the face of Justin Gaethje's dad when coming to the hospital?
No, I didn't see. That's funny though. Who do you guys actually have in Edwards coming? I got to think about it, Antoine. Like I said, right now I guess I'd slightly lean Edwards if I had to pick, but I have to think about it more. You're not saying Edwards. Colby's undeserving. He wants Masvidal's fight. That's the other thing. He wants Masvidal because he knows it's a lot of money too, and because the 3 pieces of soda thing, right? So
you know what wouldn't be weird at all. You heard that Conor said that he was going to fight Chandler at welterweight. If Conor somehow wins that fight, how sure are we that Leon is going to call out Conor?
He probably will. I mean, it's the biggest fight. Actually, Colby's been talking about Conor. I don't know if you saw James's interview.
I haven't seen it yet.
He was talking about Conor. He said like Conor's the biggest draw. He has a lot of respect for Conor. He's going to call Conor.
I was actually watching it, and then I remembered that I had a podcast with some guy named Adam Martins.
No, actually, it's funny though. Like the fact that fight will probably take place at 170, it does kind of open the door to a title shot in welterweight too, right? Like crazy enough, and he could maybe win 3 belts, which is nuts. And honestly, like Conor, obviously, guys, like he's not the same guy he once was. But isn't Edwards a better matchup for Conor than Usman or Covington? I would say so, right, Marcel? Because he's more of a striker than a wrestler. I mean, I wouldn't favor him to win those fights. So I'm just saying it's probably a better fight for him. Patrick says he loves it. Adam gets loud and passionate. Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Gorilla says, fuck Colby. Bilal deserves title shot fights, not popularity. I mean, I don't disagree. I don't disagree because he just beat Luque and Brady. Those are good wins. You on during COVID era and said yes to Khamzat when everyone's terrified of Khamzat. That's true, but he also got taken out of the rankings at one point. Everyone's forgetting about this. He had, if you Google it. I Googled it today. Ariel Helwani tweeted something like 3 years ago saying, my sources have said that Edwards has turned down like 3 or 4 different fights. Like Jeff Neely turned down all these other guys. He was turning down fights too, guys. Like I really like Leon, but like we can't fucking forget what happened in the past and just pretend this didn't happen. You know,
the thing it feels for me like some people. It's like what you say, man. People are not really into facts, but really into our emotions. You know,
100%.
And the thing is like. It's the same with Khabib and Makhachev sometimes, you know, with the Conor fans, you know.
Mm-hmm.
When Khabib stopped and Makhachev came up, they're immediately for the guy who he fights, you know. And it's like, oh, let him fight him because he has a good chance to beat him. So they just want to have a win over one of these two guys to see them fall, you know.
Yeah.
That's sometimes how I feel about it. And it's like, listen, man, I also have fighters I might not have on my favorite list, you know, but if they deserve a fight, they should get it.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, Bilal probably deserves the fight more, you know, but he's not going to get it, you know. No. It's just simply not going to get it. And I mean, it's not like I'm going to cry about it. I feel bad for him, don't get me wrong, but I'm not like, you know, I don't feel sad about it or something. You know?
I mean, Bilal's ranked 4th. Like, I mean, he's
Colby's 2nd, yeah.
Yeah, like if you look at the rankings, I mean, listen, Bilal's good. He could get it. If he beats Shafkat, he should get it. But that's a hard fight. A couple more comments. We have to move on. We've been spending a lot of time in this fight. 26 minutes on it. That's okay. Bilal can't get a title fight next. They should wait and hold it for Usman. Yeah, that's also good. I actually wonder what's with Usman now, right, guys? Like, because right now there's no path back to the belt and Edwards holds it. Now, if Covington wins, obviously you could do that 4th fight, which it'd be the 3rd fight, excuse me. That fight would be kind of interesting, but we've seen it twice. Usman, Marcel, like, I think he's got a couple potential options. Like, he could stay welterweight, right? Yeah. He could also try middleweight because he's not the champ anymore, right?
And, but he has to wait.
Yeah, I agree. But I'm just saying it's an option.
Yeah.
And the other option is to go to boxing, because he talked about it for a long time. Maybe that's the option. Maybe he follows Nagano out of the UFC and does boxing. Like, I just wonder how much Usman has left now. Like, he's lost his belt. He's made a lot of money in his career. Like, what else does he want to do really in the UFC? I don't know. Go ahead.
You know what I think, man? It's like, it's pretty much what he wants. If he wants to stay in the UFC right now, to match him up is difficult, you know? Not going to get a rematch with Edwards, obviously, you know? Shafkat is going to fight Bilal, probably, you know? Colby's fighting Edwards for the title. You have Burns fighting Masvidal right now. He fought Burns one time. He fought Masvidal twice. You know, Stephen Thompson not likely going to take the fight because he's done with wrestlers. He said. Jeff Neal just lost to Shavkat Rakhmonov. You know, so it's like everybody's book or is busy. You know what I mean? So then you have to look at Usman. Does the UFC still think Usman has it in him to become a champion? I don't think they feel they have it. He has it in him. I think he's still a top fighter in the division. I don't know, but if they want to build somebody off Usman, which is possible, you have a guy like Jack Della Maddalena there, and I know it's super early.
I mean, that's a tough fight, man.
It's super early. You know, I understand that, but at the same time, they can how do you say that, fast track him to the top, you know? But does Usman wants to be a stepping stone for a young guy?
There's no way that fight's happening. He's not taking on the 14th ranked guy. There's just no
way. So he has to
go
to middleweight, but he has to wait till Adesanya Pereira 2 has been over.
I think I really think it's not. I'm not saying he's gonna, you know, especially if Adesanya wins, that's kind of his friend, right? Like, I don't think he'd fight him, but if Izzy stays if Pereira stays champ.
Right? Well, there's something crazy.
Whitaker's right there too. He's got to wait for Whitaker.
Fight Khamzat at 185.
That's the other option too. Khamzat's right there. I mean, they've talked about it for years, but like right now, it'd be perfect to have. Wouldn't it be perfect? They had 165 and 175 right now. Wouldn't it be great, Marcel?
Yeah.
It'd be perfect. It would solve all these problems because you have another belt for these guys to fight over. But they refuse to do that. All right, we'll get some other comments. Hey, Elijah, what's up, man? He says Colby hasn't won a meaningful fight in years. Okay, so I get it. People don't like Masvidal, but I just checked. He was ranked number 6 when he beat him, Marcel, last year. He was ranked 6th. So I think that's decently meaningful, right? Like, Bilal beat where's Brady ranked? He's number 9, and Luque is ranked number 10. So beating 6 isn't as good as being 9 and 10. I don't know.
But where was Luque when Bilal beat him? That's
probably a little bit higher, I think. I think he was probably maybe 5 or 6, but I don't think he was ahead of Masvidal. I could be wrong, but I don't think he was. Masvidal's 11th now. He's dropped, right? He's obviously his stock's dropped, but hey, Masvidal goes in and sparks Burns. That puts him right back in the title talk too, Marcel. if he beats Burns, then he's right there for a shot too. All right, a couple other comments, guys, but we should move on to the other fights, I think. Because we spent like half an hour on this fight, we were fired up.
Crazy.
Edwards versus Rakhmonov may right now. Who would you guys have? Probably Rakhmonov. I believe in the guy. Would you? It's hard to say, right? But I really like him. Usman Duplessis, that's an interesting fight. What do you think about that? Think it's Southern beef over the face of Africa? Man, that'd be interesting.
I think Usman wins that fight.
And by the way, now that I think about it, they keep talking about going to Africa. I can't imagine they go there without Kamaru, right? Like he'd have to be in the card, so it would just make sense, right? Although they did, they let Nagano go. Luque was like 5 below beater. Yeah, probably. I mean, like again, like right around where Masvidal is right now. All right, can we move on now or something?
Yeah, we should.
We should. Okay, let's go to the co-main event, guys. Justin Gaethje defeats Rafael Fiziev. Is it Fiziev or Fiziev? Like he called it everything.
The problem is, I think it's Fiziev. I think when he asked them, or when they asked him, was it? He's like, it's Rafael Fiziev. He said it in the Russian with the Russian accent or that kind of thing. But it's Fiziev. You should put a Y in between the I and the E. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So Fiziev doesn't Fiziev.
Yeah, I don't know. I've heard both. Like that's the problem. Like John Ank's really good at the pronunciation, but like sometimes Brendan Fitzgerald has a different name. Like
the problem is,
so I never know.
When they ask them, they say it obviously in their native language. It's like with Madame Fiorot. When they ask her, she says Madame Fiorot. But she pretty much Fiorot. It's not Fiorot. You know what I mean?
Anyways, let's get to the fight. So great fight of the night, obviously. I mean, what's crazy? Well, it's not even really that crazy. Justin Gaethje, every single fight he's been in the UFC, Marcel, has had a bonus given out, either fight of the night, performance of the night for him or for his opponent. He's actually won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's won 7 fight of the nights in 10 fights. That's insane. That's insane.
He didn't get 2 fights, not a bonus, but he got 2 bonuses and 2 fights. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, but the other fights,
he got a bonus in every fight. You said.
No, I said, or his opponent did, because Khabib got a bonus.
Oh,
actually, and I'm wrong. Sorry, Oliveira didn't because he missed weight, but he would have got a bonus, obviously.
Yeah. Okay.
So, anyways, the point is, every fucking fight is exciting, right?
Crazy.
Like, so I've loved Gaethje forever. Anyone who's followed me on Twitter for years knows, like, I was like hyping this guy when he said WSOF. I thought he was phenomenal to watch. He was destroying everyone, and I still remember the fight with Michael Johnson. It was 6 years ago now, which is crazy, but I remember watching that fight and just going, wow, this guy is my favorite fighter. Like, he really is one of my favorite fighters. Did I think he was going to win this fight? No, because I believe in Fiziev too, right? Like, he's the younger guy. He's a great striker. But Marcel, again, close fight. I think the judges got it right, though, because it is if it's based on damage, there's no doubt he did more damage. You saw the picture that Fiziev posted. Like, his face was fucked. His legs were fucked. Like, he took so much damage in this fight, man. Now, to me, first round obviously is Fiziev, whatever you want to call it. Second round is kind of close, but I still give it to Gaethje because damage, right? Damage is king. And it's a stand-up fight. It didn't go to the ground. There were no knockdowns. You have to look at the damage, the physical damage, the visceral damage, and there's no doubt that Justin inflicted far more damage, which is not what I thought the fight would go like. I thought it'd be the other way around. Third round, Gaethje won that round for sure. I mean, there's no doubt. But giving him 10-8 round is terrible. Like, that's not a 10-8 round. That's not a 10-8 round at all. Like, at all. It was a clear round. It's not a 10-8 round, though. And I almost feel like this judge, Paul Sutherland, gave it to him because he was like, oh, shit, I gave the first 2 rounds to Fiziev, and now he's going to win the fight when he, probably shouldn't after that round, so I'll give it a draw instead. Like, I just think that's what that guy did. That's what I think happened. The right guy won the fight. That's what matters. I got my pick wrong. It's okay because I think the right guy won the fight. What do you think, Marcel? It was a great fight, obviously.
Yeah, man. Let's go per round. First round, I think clear Fiziev, and I think he could have finished him there, but Gaethje is just super tough. You know what I mean? So yeah. Second round. The thing is with the damage, what you said, I have a problem with it because he cut him open, right? Yeah. He poked him in the eye as well, and it looked really bad, And at the moment you cut somebody open, pretty much every punch that lands on that cut gets worse, Yeah. So what's damage? You know what I mean?
It was close, Marcel. I think you could make an argument for
second round was super close. You could give it to either one, in my opinion. Third round, clear Gaethje, a much more fitter fighter, much better, sharper there. So first and third round was pretty clear to me, 10-9 for either guy.
Yep.
Second round was the tiebreaker,
Yep.
and they give it to
Yep.
Gaethje. I have absolutely no problem with it,
Yep.
Well, for me, it was a close fight. It could be both ways, in my opinion.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, Gaethje showed in that third. It's super stupid when people say like he showed it more because so he should get you should score by round. But I think overall, I think it was super close, 50-50 to me. But if you look at that fight and its total, I think Gaethje deserved the win.
By the way, the scorecards of this fight are fucking bad. I'm just looking at them right now. Again, so Mark Collect, I think, had a good scorecard. Fiziev round 1, Gaethje round 2, and Gaethje round 3. That's a good scorecard. Paul Sutherland had Fiziev round 1 and 2, and then 10-8 in the third round. I just don't like the 10-8 there. I don't like it at all. There's no knockdown. There's not any like incredible damage delivered. I mean, he definitely won the round, but go ahead.
Somebody said arguing with me on Twitter. It's like, you could give that a 10-8 round.
No, you can't. That's not 10-8 round, guys. It's not. And I hope they speak to this judge because he had a bad night. There's no doubt. The other judge, Clemens Werner, who, by the way, I remember, I don't want to say anything bad about Scott. Scott Fontana, right? The judging expert on Twitter. A few months ago, I remember he tweeted saying, I think Clemens Werner might be the best judge in the world. That's what he said. This guy gave the first round to Gaethje and the second round to Fiziev. How the fuck does that make sense? How do you give the first round to Gaethje, Marcel? Tell me how. That was the clearest round of the fight. Like,
he thought Fiziev was Gaethje, and Gaethje was Fiziev, probably. I don't know, man. But
listen, he got to the right scorecard in the end, but the way he got there is funky, man. I don't like it.
Dude, the only judge I ride with, is Michael Bell. You know that? Mm-hmm. Listen, Michael Bell sometimes has a
even
bad
he has some bad cards.
Well. I mean, but always he can justify when he has the only judge, the descendant judge, he can
100%. And you know what, Marcel? I've had some bad scorecards too over the years. I know you have too. We've all had them, right? The problem is this Sutherland guy had 3 on the same night. That's really bad. And here's the other thing. Me and Marcel are just some idiots on the internet. These guys are legitimate judges. They're like gonna screw guys' careers over. Thankfully they didn't. The right guy won. I'm just saying, like fans get so, especially on Twitter, they get so angry at the journalists when they post their scores. Like, remember John, our boy John Coe? He got absolutely destroyed a few weeks ago. I can't, was it Jan and Murat?
Jan, right? He had Jan 2-1.
It's like Jan is up 29-28. And I love John, but come on, John, that's not a good card, right? Yeah. But it doesn't matter because he's not a real judge. It doesn't matter, right?
The problem is
get angry at the actual judges. They're screwing guys over and taking their paychecks. But
people going way too crazy over damage and wrestling that goes way too crazy about it sometimes. It's like this. What Volkanovski did to Makhachev is no damage. You know what I mean? But the thing that is really stupid, you also heard Bisping say like on the broadcast, like these guys have. He said there was 2-0 or something, and everybody has a 1-1, and he's like, but their scorecards don't mean shit. I was like, your scorecard don't mean shit either, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I saw that. That was funny. Was it you that he was reading your scorecard?
No, not mine. I
remember they said that. Yeah, that was funny. All right. Just go get some comments, guys. Hyde says Gaethje's one of my favorite fighters. Same here. He's awesome. I thought Fizzy won round 1 and 2. It comes down to the second round. It really does. Again, I thought Gaethje edged it because of damage. That's exactly what I thought, but it was close. West Coast is up, man. Gaethje's a better fighter. All of his fights. I mean, this should have been 5 rounds. I think it would have been a finish. The terrible scorecard, the Bajic, all of a sudden the scorecard sucked. The guy was just, he did score Hardy Miller, which was like the most obvious fight ever. Well, we'll talk about that in a few minutes, by the way. John is the best judge ever, in my opinion. Peter won that fight. I like John, but that was the best scorecard. Judging entire, it was a clown show. Bisping's unbearable. I don't think it was. I like Bisping, but I don't think it was his best performance on the mic. Personally,
horrible performance also with DC.
I watched them buddy, right?
Yeah, I watched them till the prelims because I watched the main card with Dutch commentary. But
who's the Dutch commentator?
Sanders Schick and Marloes Koenen.
Oh, Marloes does it. Okay, and Stefan does the reporting, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's like.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's the crew I'm working with. So it's like I watched that obviously.
Struve blocked me on Twitter. I'm glad to see that. I don't know if he told him to, but
he did.
Yeah.
No, I didn't tell him. No.
Yeah, that's great. I'm glad he did that. I mean, it was just like years ago. I said something about they should feed Nagano, or Struve did Nagano when Nagano was coming up. I'm like, they should book this fight because this guy's chin is not the greatest. It wasn't very nice to me. This is like 10 years ago, probably. Like, not 10, but like 9 or 8, whenever Gunnar made his debut.
Struve is actually a super cool guy.
No, I know he's a cool dude. I feel bad about it. I was like, oh, I shouldn't have said that, but whatever. It was so long ago. It was like in my early 20s when I said that. Like, I'll give myself a pass on that one. So.
And when he's like sometimes busting my balls. So it's like,
no, I don't like Struve at all.
And
I
I'm
like the fights too. I made money off the guy.
I always do him like, how are you doing? How is Ben Rothwell doing, dude? So I always try to bust his balls as well. But he's funny, dude. He's very nice. So, yeah.
For sure. Okay, let's go through some of these other fights, Marcel. I mean, this one's kind of quick. Like, did anyone expect anything other than Gunnar Nelson submitting Bryan Barberena? I think it was just a bad fight for Bryan to take, Marcel.
I feel bad for Bryan, man. Because, man.
Go ahead, sorry.
I said it also on the broadcast, on the podcast last week. I think he probably gets submitted because the takedown defense isn't what it should be, and the thing is with Gunnar is so methodical. He just does it. Some guys rushing stuff, and he's just so precise with everything he does. Some guys go crazy with getting that leg out. He doesn't. He just positions him first, then gets that leg out. He only had like 20 seconds, I think, to get that arm bar, and he still got it. So it's like it was a good performance, man, by Gunny. And
great.
I also really liked the the friendship afterwards with Barberena and Gunny's dad. They were making a picture and was super friendly, and even I think Gunnar's team invited Bryan to go to Iceland to train with them. So that's super cool, man. Yeah.
That's cool. He's 34. He's turning 35. He hasn't fought much the last couple of years. I think they're going to give him someone, maybe ranked potentially, like a Neil Magny potentially, someone like that, or maybe just outside the rankings. You could also there's some fights there. What are you going to say?
By the way, before I forget to tell you this, did you hear that Gaethje talked about Bisping's commentary?
Yeah, I saw him talk about it in the post-fight interview. He just destroyed him.
And do you also hear that Bisping messaged Gaethje right afterwards, or phoned him and told him that he absolutely didn't appreciate that what Gaethje said?
Really?
Him.
Yeah. Who said that? When did that happen?
I heard that from my colleague. So
he called him personally and said he was upset that he called him out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the thing, like, these guys don't get it, like, because they weren't trained broadcasters or journalists. You have to be able to accept criticism, man. You have to. And I don't think
also when it's exactly.
He wasn't wrong. All right, a couple other comments here. Bisping was drinking, I think. Talking about his dog going pee. I don't know if we could say that, but you never know. Is it England? Brian was sparking. I don't know about that. I mean, it was not the takedown defense is bad. Gunnar and RDA is a great fight. That would be awesome.
That's a fun one, man.
He's at 170 now, right?
I really like that actually. Yeah.
Bisping with Gaethje 7-290. Yeah.
I favor Gaethje.
The catchweight bout. Yeah, I know. I would favor him too, even despite the size. All right. Yeah. We both probably should pick Jared Formier. I think, looking back on it, because we actually
were thinking about it.
I don't know why we didn't. Now that I think, because the value was there too as a dog, right? We said, like, I remember we kept saying, like, if there's any dog on the card, the main card, it's probably her.
Yeah.
And she won the first 2 rounds. The third round, Vito Palio gave the third round to Maya. I don't know about that. I mean, it was close. Numbers say it was close, but I thought O'Neal won that third round. I thought she looked rusty. Marcel, she came out really rusty because she hadn't been on fighting in a long time. I think, if it was 5 rounds, it could have been a different fight potentially. I also feel like she'll do better at her next fight. I don't think it was a terrible performance by Casey O'Neal. I don't think it hurt your stock that much. You look at Macy Barber, right? Remember, she had a couple losses, Marcel. Now she's back on the rise. I think the same thing will happen with Casey. Young fighters lose sometimes. It happens. I think Maya's a good fighter. We talked about her, very experienced. I also feel like, they were talking about her getting a title shot. I don't think the UFC looks at her as a marketable fighter. She doesn't speak any English, Marcel. She's not someone you can really promote that well. She's a good fighter, guys, but I'd much rather see Blanchfield fight for the belt, or Valentina fight for it again, or Manon fight for it. Marcel, to me, she's way down there. I don't know.
She's a gatekeeper.
She's a gatekeeper. Dude, you got it. That's exactly what she is.
Yeah, she's a gatekeeper to the top.
To the top 5? To the top 10?
Pretty much to the top 10, I think.
Yeah.
That's basically how I see her, and that's no shame at all.
No, it's a good spot to be in. Yeah. She's ranked number right now. She is ranked number 8. So there you go. Right? Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. She's like, if you get past her, you do probably well above. And I think she did well. The thing is with O'Neal is we will see in her next fight how she does, and unless she gets a scrap or something, but we will see how she
They might
does.
build her back up a little bit.
Yeah,
too, right?
probably, but I don't want to see her fight down too much. I think we should.
Yep.
She came back from an injury,
Yep.
but we pretty much said last week on the podcast, that we weren't sure about it, and I wasn't sure about it either. I don't see her having the same ceiling as a Blanchfield or whatever,
Yeah, same here. She's a way step above these girls, honestly.
I think she's pretty decent very decent on the ground, but the stand up, I'm not convinced, and so
I'm with you.
We'll see. Listen, man, she's still super young. She can still develop and whatever. So we'll see.
I think you're right. I mean, her stand-ups, it's like she can throw, but her defense is lacking, to say the least. And also, like, you're right, the ground game, right? Remember she fought Antonina. She looked like a world beater, right? Mm-hmm. So if she fights them with no ground game, she was going to destroy them. But on the
almost everybody looks like a world beater against Antonina.
Yeah,
almost everybody.
She's not good. All right, Marvin Vettori defeats Roman Dolidze, unanimous decision. Another close fight. Comes down to how you score round 3, I believe. One of the judges, Paul Sutherland, this fucking idiot. First round, come on.
Yeah.
First round's Dolidze. That's not even like a question. Second round, Vettori. It comes down to the third round. The stats actually say Vettori outlanded Dolidze.
All 3 rounds, yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
But he didn't win the first round, in my opinion. Yeah.
I don't think so. But also, Marcel, I think that Dolidze landed much bigger, damaging shots. So that's why I thought he was going to win the fight. But Vettori winning the second and third round's fine. I just think the first round. I know again the numbers do say he outlanded him, but we have to look at impact too, right?
Fontvera, yeah.
Pardon? Fontvera, yeah. Well, I mean that had knockdowns, so it's a little different. But I mean, if you look at the numbers, it's crazy looking back at that fight. Remember, Marcel, like how many strikes that Font landed, but lost because he got dropped at the end of each round too. At the end of the round, right, which is crazy. Roman got robbed, according to Gorilla. I mean, I don't know if he got robbed, but I thought he was going to win. I really did. Marcus really likes Gentleman, by the way. Go ahead.
I think, I gave the first round clearly to Dolidze. I think he did a lot of damage there, and Marvin was on his back foot. And the thing that was with Marvin and with Roman, Marvin won a lot of counter strikes, and he did really good with the leg kicks. He was a Tiger Muay Thai. He probably trained it a lot, and he did good with the leg kicks. There was a lot of controversy with this fight because I watched the Dutch broadcast, and they were completely sure that Dolidze won the fight, and I wasn't. I had something like, I think at the second round I had for Vettori, I had 1-1 going into the third. And the third was up for grabs. The thing was with Dolidze is we went forward, but he was super wild and missed a lot. And Vettori actually hit a lot. So whatever you want to judge it, I think if it went 29-28 Dolidze, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But I'm also good with 29-28 Vettori. 30-27 is a horrible scorecard.
There you go. So you don't like Paul Sutherland?
No, who does? Probably only his friends.
Let's go to the next fight here. Jack Shore defeats McElroy. Remember last week, Marcel? I'm like, I don't think we need to spend much time with this fight. We know how it's going to go. It went exactly how we said, right? McElroy has a good early round and then gasses out. My tweet came on the screen. I was like, well, McElroy usually does good early and then he fatigues. And it's what happened in this fight. Yeah. Jack took advantage, submitted him. That's the last we're going to see of McElroy in the UFC. He's lost 5 of his last 6 fights. I think he's going to be released. It's a good win for Jack Shore in his debut at featherweight, but McElroy's a very beatable fighter. But Jack Shore's good. He's 6-1 in the UFC now, guys. He's a very good fighter, and I like him at featherweight too. Go ahead, Marcel.
Oh God, I shouldn't laugh about that Juani's comment.
Which one? Oh, JP Days. This guy's one of the judges. Oh my God. We're gonna say anything about it?
But sure, I think, I mean, good debut for sure at 145 in the UFC, right? I mean, at 135, he was a good fighter, but he lost to Ricky Simone, and I think the cut was getting difficult, so he went to 145. And he looked good, in my opinion. I'm happy for him. I think he's a talented guy. And yeah, he did well. I was happy for him. He got the England call because last time he fought in, I think, Long Island 1 week before the London card. Now it was actually in London. Good win for him. Finish against Amirkhani, like we pretty much both said would happen. Because Amirkhani always gasses. Good win for Jack Shore, Jack Tank Shore. Yeah,
absolutely. Next fight, another bad scorecard here. Okay, so Chris Duncan defeats Omar Morales. We both called Chris Duncan, by the way. Marcel was a good pick. I thought he won. I think it was the second and third round, 29-28. 30-27. That's interesting. Let's see. I don't really know how he won. Or sorry, that was for Morales. How did he win these rounds. Like, I don't understand that scorecard. When I heard that, I was like, what the fuck? Like, so when you have 229-28 for one guy and then another guy has a 30-27, that's just a shit scorecard. And you're going to have the judging defenders out there, Marcel, saying, well, the rounds weren't clear. Come on, they were clear. We know who won the fight. Like, that's a bad scorecard. Anything you want to say, though?
No, it wasn't I don't think it was an amazing fight. I think Duncan did what he had to do.
Man?
Anyway.
It was kind of a shitty fight, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't
Duncan
great.
just kind of like laid and prayed, bro. He just had to do what he wanted to do to win.
But
like,
I'm happy for the dude,
right?
you know. So
I like him. I'm just saying, like, that's what he laid and prayed, Marcel. You know what he did.
Yeah.
You know what he did. Anything else you want to say about that? Or are you good?
Nah.
Right,
let's go to Ashmus.
Yeah, I called it, Marcel. I told you last week. Yeah, this was my best pick. Actually, one of my better picks in a while.
Gold pick.
Bold pick. Yeah, I appreciate it.
No, not bold. Gold.
Old pick?
Yeah, cold pick. KO.
Cold pick. Oh, okay. So it's crazy though. Like after I was looking at the reach and stuff, and I'm like, holy shit, this guy's a 10-inch reach advantage. Like this is kind of scary, but I stuck to my guns because this guy's got tall man defense, Marcel. He's got the chin way up in the air, the hands way down. I mean, you can't fight like this in the UFC. That combination that knocked him out was absolutely brutal.
Whew.
How did he not get a bonus? Tell me how he didn't get a bonus. That was the knockout of the night, wasn't it?
Yeah, the UFC didn't want to look. People want to look it back because my God, it stopped it way too late.
Bro, that's a bonus winning fight. Like
of
100%.
Of
ridiculous.
Course,
He didn't get a bonus.
Yeah, it was. Dude, I think my God, it stopped it like 10 punches too late.
Way too late, and the guy was still fighting him after.
Yeah, he was. I really had the feeling like that. God, it was like, this dude is in England. He fights for the London crowd. Let's give him some extra time. But he gave him some extra damage. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, good debut for Ashmus, man. I think he fights at the K Dojo Warrior trial, right, with Kashtov. I mean, what a debut, right? Good for him. I think the first guy from Israel ever to get a finish in the UFC. I know Noah Lahat got 2 wins before, but the first guy to ever get a finish. Yeah, good for him, man. I mean, he fought in PFL before. PFL didn't pick him up. Somehow UFC did. And well done by the UFC, man. He looked like a promising guy.
Dude, like I said, I don't understand why this guy was getting slept on. Like he fought in good promotions. He's got a decent, skill set. He's got power.
Yeah.
I think I'm not saying he's going to be a champion. I think he's a pretty good fighter. Patterson, I don't think he's going to have a long career because I think his defense sucks, Marcel. That's what I think. So, comments here, guys. Yeah, the ending was scary, man. It was. Patterson was trying to fight for 2 minutes after stoppage. It was scary. What's up, Pato? How's it going, man? Yeah, we're it's right now at 6:00 p.m. Eastern, so the time changed like last week, or whatever. However, Stan got caught on his way down from the leg getting caught.
Did you saw?
Kept his chin up. Go ahead.
Did you saw the picture of Sam Patterson as Slender Man or something? Somebody
That's funny.
posted.
I mean, the guy's so tall and long and skinny. All right, let's go to the next fight here. Muhammad Makayev defeats Jafel Fio. 3rd round submission with a neck cramp. Crazy fight, kind of because that knee bar was so nasty and deep. Bro. I mean, his knee is fucked now. His knee's fucked. One sec. The crazy thing is the scorecards, Marcel, Filo was up and would have won the fight if he didn't get a submission. How fucking crazy is that?
Yeah. I think I had it honestly 2-0 for Makayev and going into the third. You know,
too.
I know 2 judges had it 1-1. Yeah. And also there was a really weird moment with Makayev in the first round where he tapped.
Bro, I saw that. That's weird, right?
Super weird.
Why was what was he tapping to? Like, I don't understand.
The thing that was what is possible, I watched the tape over and over. Filio had his foot into Makayev's shorts, and he tried to get it out. And I think at the moment he got it out, Makayev was like, okay, let's go further, But it looked like a tap, but he wasn't into any submission threat. And the thing was, like, I was also thinking about, he had that shoulder injury. Maybe he landed wrong or something, and he tapped out without thinking, But that's probably not what it is. But let's go back to the fight, I mean, crazy that he didn't tap, and he said like the one on my record should hurt more than my leg. But man, if it comes to longevity from your career, I don't know, man. I really hope that he doesn't have a severe injury because that really looked bad. I think it still has to come online, but Stefan Struve did an interview with him afterwards, and they both sat on the how do you say that, on the stool, because he couldn't stand on it. He still can't stand on it probably. So yeah, I hope he's doing well. But hey, man, what a heart, getting out of that kind of submission, basically fighting on one leg and getting a finish 1 minute later via rear naked choke. That shows the heart of the kid, dude. I mean, that's
for
big.
a minute though, man. That injury looks nasty. Like,
yeah.
and he doesn't look good. A couple of comments here, guys. Mikheyev tapped. I mean, potentially. Yanal Mikheyev got robbed of the bonus. I think Yanal did for sure. By the way, his name changed during the week. It's like Ash Luz now. There's added a U to it, right? Yeah. Max, what's up, man? It's not the real Max, but is that Tony Ferguson and Max Holloway? I think.
Yeah.
I see now. Okay, Crazy Feel stands up where he wins whether cards injury. Yeah, he does. He would win that fight, which is crazy. No, same guy, and I'll say definitely picking Aldo's original nickname, Red Fox. Yep, yeah, I mean it's nice. Oh, that'd be a good fight, and Trevor Peak. That would be actually a great fight. I would like it. How much Mikheyev get ranked number 12 to being Gordon? I think he just based on potential. He's good, man. There's no doubt, but he's not. Marcel. There's another thing I want to say about Mikheyev, guys. Like he's obviously a great grappler. There's no doubt about it. I mean, we all know that. But you look at the strikes landed in his fights in the UFC. Only 16 in this fight, 21 in his last fight, 12 before that. I'll give him a pass on Durden because it was a 1 minute fight, but the other fights went almost the distance. In one case, and he barely lands any strikes. Marcel, he just kind of holds you there.
Obviously, he still has to do a learning curve, but dude is 22.
Yeah, he's super young. He's great. I mean, he could be a champ still. I think in the UFC, very, very possible. But Marcel, I think this was a good learning experience. The guy he fought was a little bit underrated. I think even Malcolm Gordon the last fight, fought him pretty well too. So he's actually fighting guys that don't have the name value, but they're giving him good fights. I'll say that. Good matchmaking. All right, let's go to the next fight here. The Ron Murphy defeats Gabriel Santos. I don't know about this decision. 29-28, 28-29, 29-28 for Murphy. I think this was a bit of the hometown cooking I was alluding to, Marcel, personally. Like I thought Santos won the fight. What did you think?
Santos could take him down at will, right? I think Santos won 2-1. I give him 2 rounds, and I feel bad for the dude. He came in at 1 week's notice, LFA champion, undefeated, fights another undefeated guy, pretty big underdog, loses, but shouldn't have lost, in my opinion. And Juani says fight of the night for me. That was next to Justin Gaethje against Fiziev. That was the fight of the night. Alongside that, those 2 fights were the best, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too. It was a really good fight. There's no doubt. Let's get going. I mean, it's a little past 6. That's okay. Christian Duncan, knee injury to Dusko. Looks like I think he was going to win anyways, Marcel. But obviously, it's unfortunate the fight ended by injury. Jake Hadley, nice knockout there. He gets a bonus. Really happy for him. He's looked great in the UFC. I do think it's funny though. He was kind of talking smack about Gordon missing weight, which isn't a good thing. But remember, Marcel, how did this guy get in the UFC in the first place? Because he missed weight and won. Remember? On Contender, so he's the last guy you should talk about missing weight. That's what I'll say. But he is a good prospect. I really like him. He wants to fight Mikheyev.
I like it actually.
I like it too. Like I want to see it. It doesn't seem like Mikheyev's going to be fighting anytime soon, Marcel, based on that picture I saw. But all right, Joanne Wood defeats Luana Carolina, split decision. It was a close fight, but I think the judges got this one right.
Remember that the UFC wanted that fight on the pay-per-view card. Remember.
Jai Herbert and Ludovic Klein draw. I had this fight scored for Jai Herbert. I thought he won every round, minus the point deduction for the low blow. How did you score? Did you score a draw or you had Herbert?
Yeah, I had a draw at 1 round
that's
for
fair.
Klein.
Yeah, that's fair. Hardy defeats Miller. I mean, this to me was kind of the fight I didn't see coming. Some of the other fights, like we talked about Maya O'Neal, there's like some of these other fights, like I thought could go either way, but I never thought that she would win. And there were some people in the chat last week that did say like Miller's, maybe not as good as we thought, but she looked even worse, Marcel, than ever. Like she looked terrible this fight, guys. She didn't look like she had been a professional for very long, which is a fact. But I watched Ultimate Fighter last year. I watched her debut. Dude, she looked 100 times worse in this fight. Like, what the hell happened here? Now, granted, Veronica Hardy looked great. I'll give her credit. Dan Hardy trained her well for this fight. Like, they had the perfect game plan. But Marcel, she looked awful. The striking looked bad. No takedown defense. Like, I was surprised how bad Miller looked. Any thoughts?
The thing is, like, maybe we have been blinded by the competition she fought in the Ultimate Fighter, because maybe the competition wasn't that good,
That's true.
Yeah, that's maybe it, because Veronica Macedo, she only won to Poliana Viana in the UFC. Besides that, didn't look really good. But she fought also people who are like way bigger than her. For example, the Bia Malecki girl,
Yep.
Maybe she's now at the division where she should be. She's happy in life, and she looked really good. I think it was her best performance besides that quick win over Poliana Viana. By the way, something else. Did you hear Michael Bisping say when Hadley knocked down Malcolm Gordon? He's like, and then down goes Malcolm Miller. Malcolm X. Oh, no, Malcolm Gordon.
I thought you said Malcolm Martin for a second.
Malcolm
I was like,
Martin.
why did you say my name?
So
Yeah, that wasn't very good. Yeah.
Yeah, but great win, dude, from Macedo. You know, after 3 years
Yeah.
away from
No,
the
it's
cage,
Hardy now. They
you look
changed it.
super. Sorry, Hardy. I'm so
You
used
just
to
told
saying
Bisping.
Macedo.
Bisping said he was sorry during the fight. He's like, "Oh crap, I just called her."
It's so difficult. Just like listen, man. Next week, Yana Kunitskaya. We have to call her Yana Santos. It's also difficult.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about
just like I still say Joanne Calderwood should be Joanne Wood, but yeah,
yeah. That's the funny thing about her is, you know, her husband's name is Wood, and she had fucking Wood in her last name, her maiden name.
Yeah, there's always Wood in the household. Yeah.
All right, I get some comments, guys. There's a few that missed. These are the last comments we'll get, and then we'll start the next podcast. We'll do that. Okay, Marcel?
Sure thing. Yeah.
Marcus, what's up, mate? Hello, fight fans. Thanks for the content. Good card recap. Thanks, I really appreciate it. Let's see here. Picked in Bedfield because he looked good in contender. Yeah, he's not bad. I think he's going to win some fights in the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
Demir and Grant Dawson verbally agreed. Is this true? This is a good fight.
I haven't heard, but I don't know.
Like
Did you saw that?
I like that fight. I mean, Grant's good. I also don't think Grant Dawson should be ranked because he missed weight in his only lightweight fight. How does he get ranked at lightweight if he can't make the weight? Demir, I think, is he still in the rankings or he's been pulled from them? Because I think he should be there if not. A couple of the comments,
Demir,
guys.
I think both are there in the rankings.
People, by the way, so we got Santos won, Murphy lost, Brazilian brought it. Santos won clearly. Dude, me too. I thought he won for sure. He definitely won the fight. White Kong can bang. He sure can. See, that's the thing, Mark, because you were saying this, like, and I mean, it looks like you're right, but I thought she looked great on, like, again, I thought she looked good against Brogan Walker, who's a pretty decent. I'm not saying she's great, but she's decent, right? She's not bad, and she looked great against her, in my opinion. But obviously, Marcus, you saw something I didn't, and that's the great thing about this, Marcel. Look at last week, Marcel. I saw something in the only people I saw say Ashmu sucks. Like, this guy sucks. How did he get in the UFC? I'm like, I don't think he's that bad. I think he looks pretty good from the tape I saw. So everyone's got a different vantage point sometimes, Marcel. And you know, it's Jennifer Miller. It's Juliana Miller, not Jennifer.
Yeah, Juliana. Yeah,
that's funny. Marcus, I think Miller lost because the low level of tough competition. I mean, you were right about it. There's no doubt. Got a show on the MMA Hour thanks to Dan. I can't even click on this for some reason. Oh, there we go. Dan gets his revenge. Yeah, and by the way, Dan was talking about what was he saying? You saw that tweet that went around? I think it was like a DM with someone, or was it a back and forth? They're like, oh, you were yelling at someone on Fight Island, some female employee. That's why you got fired, right? Remember because that story came out? Remember I got involved in that because I wrote that story to DJ Penn, and then all the Dan Hardy fans went after me. Dan was cool about it. He's like, whatever, it doesn't matter. Again, that was weird. That was a weird situation. He basically said, yeah, but she deserved it because she was doing a bad job or something, which I thought was funny. So apparently there was an argument. I don't know if he like verbally abused her, but he definitely there was an argument. We all heard about this. Like there was some yelling. And also I think he was going off against Herb Dean on that same card for the reffing. Remember? Or no, remember they were going after the fight they were like yelling at each other. Yeah. Herb Dean, right? So like the UFC I think didn't like him after that. I think that's what happened or so.
But that's about. He shouldn't have done that, but he was right at that moment, But he shouldn't have done that, It was this place to do that, but he was right because Hurt was way too late.
For sure, worth it. I'm no late to the party. Your tweet, Adam, about Macron being around with fighter, such good timing. I know, dude. I was like, I look like a genius right now for once. It was awesome. Crazy Pato, agree with your recent tweet, Adam. Leon set up for the year, turned on fights Wonderboy Neil. Dude, this has been reported. That was in 2020, I want to say, or 2021. Like he returned on fights. Now he did take other fights the next year. I'm just saying, like, he's kind of using the same argument that people used against him against Colby now. Maybe that's his plan. Mm-hmm. Marcel, do you know who Tapuri is fighting? What was the rumor again? It was
the rumor was Ortega.
Oh, really? Are you serious? Oh my god,
that's a rumor, but I don't know if it's going to happen. No idea.
Thoughts on Gaethje Kamaru? I think it's a great fight. I like that fight. Yeah. Oh, who stock dropped the most? Honestly, even though it was a close fight, I think Usman stock dropped because he didn't look good in the fight, and he would have lost if there was no point. I also feel like Barberena's stock has really dropped. Marcel the last few fights, he just can't defend takedowns. Like. He's too easy. Like, I don't know why they're giving him grapplers. The guy's an exciting stand-up banger. Just put him on the feet, Marcel. And honestly, if I'm Barberena, Marcel, I don't know what your thoughts are, but maybe, maybe there's fights in maybe Bellator or something for him. Like more money potentially too. I don't know what you think about that.
Doc, I would say O'Neal. I would say Lerone Murphy, even with winning.
How about Omar Morales? I think he's getting cut.
Yeah, but those guys don't really have already a lot of stock, to be really honest. Also, Barberena is really like He's just a really cool fighter to watch, but he's kind of a veteran kind of guy, so
his ground game's not good, Marcel. That's the problem.
I love Barberena, but he makes it a fun fight. But almost everybody who has to have a serious ground game, like listen, I don't say Matt Brown doesn't have a serious ground game, but he's like stand up. They got to book him against guys.
Booking against Matt Brown, Robbie Lawler. Who last thing I'm going to ask you before we get out here. Who are we booking Bryan Barberena against, guys? Who are we going to book him against? Let's go take a look at the roster. What about the guy that he was supposed to fight originally, Gunnar Nelson, Daniel Rodriguez? Do you like that fight? Would that be a good fight?
Yeah, for example. Yeah,
okay, so let's take a look here.
Dwight Brandt.
He's, I think he's been released, I believe, right?
Okay.
We're looking at, welterweight?
Ian Gary. I actually like that.
Max Griffin would be a good fight, too.
I like Ian Gary.
Ian Gary would probably beat him, Marcel. He'd lose 2
Yeah, but why not?
You know what? Ian's going to get in his face. You know what I mean? That Song Kenan guy did drop him, right? Yeah. So Muslim Salikov would also be a really good fight, I think.
Yeah.
Do you like that one? Yeah?
Yeah. There's also a fun fight.
Like any stand-up fighter, really. Actually, Muslim actually knocked out Andre Fialho would be a good fight too, Marcel. Another stand-up guy. Miguel Baeza. Like, these are the Chaos Williams. I know he has a fight booked against some. I've never heard of the guy he's fighting, by the way. I'm like, who is this guy? Yeah, I don't know who that is.
He's a teammate of Oliveira.
Is Gabe Green fighting Jake Matthews, or is that fight off now?
That fight is off. Jake is injured.
They could do Gabe Green against Bryan Barberena. Actually, that fight would be fucking good, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be good?
Yeah, he didn't get damage, so he can take that fight.
Guys, we're naming. I just named like 10 strikers. Like, I can even go down. Munir Lazez. Like, there's a lot of strikers. Jared Gooden, even like
Abdul Razak Al Hassan.
Dude, these are the kind of guys he's gonna fight. I think Abdul's at 185 now, though, so I don't think that can fight.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
All right. Let's get out of here. We just went overtime. That's okay. All right, so we're gonna get out of here, guys, just for a sec, because join us back in a minute here. We're gonna do the preview for UFC San Antonio. Marcel, is that the right hashtag this week? Is UFC San Antonio?
Yeah, it is.
All right, I was gonna message you about that, by the way. I just figured it was. I'm like, it better be Sandhagen and Vera. All right, guys. So follow me on Twitter at Adam Martin. Follow Marcel on Twitter at Big Marcel 24. Follow him on Instagram as well for all those posts and stuff. We're gonna start a new podcast here in just a minute, guys. Remember to like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about it, guys. Hit that like button as well if you can. Just bear with us for a minute, guys. We're gonna next step podcast set up, and we're gonna do the preview. All right, peace. Talk to you guys in a few minutes here. And if you guys can't make it to the next one, I'll see you guys next week.